Sprint Burst. Honestly, what can even be said about this perk at this point? It was the first exhaustion perk to ever come to Dead by Daylight with Meg Thomas, one of the original four. Its effect is very simple. When you start running, Sprint Burst grants you 50% haste for 3 seconds. You are exhausted for 40 seconds. That exhaustion timer is much, much less with Vigil. This perk has always been extremely strong, and problematically so, but for a long time it flew under the radar because of the old state of Dead Hard just being that insane. Turns out that a button that says fix a positioning mistake in chase is better than a button that says fix a positioning mistake out of chase. But with Dead Hard changed into a relatively balanced and fun to play against state, Sprint Burst has returned to the limelight as by far and wide the strongest exhaustion perk, and it does it in a pretty unhealthy way. The most efficient way to chase in Dead by Daylight is to not chase at all, and Sprint Burst is perfect for doing just that. Pre-running is probably the strongest thing you can do on Survivor against most killers. If you play a killer that doesn't have a easy and fast mobility tool, pre-running absolutely murders you. Queuing up to play Pyramid Head and getting every pallet dropped from outside of your terror radius, survivors just holding W before you can even get into range to use your power, it feels horrible to play against, and this is endemic to any killer who doesn't have a mobility tool. Now, a lot of the time, to do that playstyle correctly requires good game sense and a pretty good idea of where the killer is coming from. You gotta leave early, like right when you hear the terror radius to pre-run effectively. Not so with Sprint Burst. Sprint Burst lessens the margin of error for pre-running in this sort of style greatly, to the point where the survivor can sit on the gen for 5 more seconds maybe before the killer maybe even gets a little bit close, and they can still hit that pre-run just because they have Sprint Burst. Just go from pallet to pallet dropping and not even letting the killer start a chase. Now, you don't run into this very often. You only really get this from the most efficient survivors who really, really care about winning. And that's usually not a very large percentage of your games. For people to both know what they're doing and really want to win on Survivor, that's rare. But Sprint Burst at that peak of play is extremely unhealthy because it promotes not interacting with the killer at all, ever. It's basically the game telling you, I hope you've got $5 to buy the ghoul, or good luck, buddy. You'll have your first chase at 3 minutes into the game and 3 gens will be done. Anyway, Sprint Burst is probably one of the most complicated perks in the entire game to fix, and I can't sit here and tell you that I have a magic silver bullet fix for Sprint Burst. It's so core to the game as an original perk, and its idea, you don't want to just remove the idea of this perk from the game because it comes from an original Survivor. But you also can't just completely destroy it because it's amazing for new players and needs to be on Meg. So this is a rare moment where I just have nothing to fix this perk. I'm not really sure what needs to be done with it. I have a crackhead solution where you turn it into the 2v8 version where it's on demand, but you don't get it in first chase, and in fact you swap it to the hook system of Dead Hard, so you get the 2v8 Sprint Burst twice throughout the game after first and second hook. I don't know, is that good? I have no clue. I don't know how to fix this perk. It's just so bad that it just completely screws over M1 killers and doesn't affect the best. That's the main problem with it from the killer side. And yeah, something needs to change about this perk. It's probably the most problematic thing we have that I just don't have a solution for.